Again, we're going to be going over some options for sitting. And so the basic format of this video is we're going to go over the demo, we're going to talk about some of the mechanics, and then I'll go into the specifics of each one of these if you want to scope that out real quick. So, first thing we're going to talk about is the meditation bench. This is a great way to sit in a hero pose, like on your heels, but your feet don't fall asleep. I'll show you a couple options later, but this is this meditation bench. This is a yoga block. You'll find this in most studios. There are lots of options to sit on this fella, and it's a very, very versatile option. Another option a lot of CrossFitters have access to is a roller, and this one you can definitely squat upon. This is a great option. And the least versatile option is actually over here. It is an abmat. An abmat is great for sitting cross-legged on. It just provides a little hip lift. So, some of the mechanics that we want to talk about for these alternative sitting options to a chair is what is the orientation of your pelvis? Is it tucked or is it kind of turning under you? And what is your spine doing? Is it rounding or are you staying nice and tall and relatively neutral? Those are the the most important aspects of it. And then we also want to talk about appropriate depth if you're in a squat, and additionally effort and comfort, because it's one thing if you can hold a position, like let's say you're trying to squat on the lowest setting here. It might look really cool from the front, you're in this great depth, but if you look at me from the side, my pelvis is tucking under, and in order to maintain a nice neutral spine, I really have to work for it, which there is benefit to it. So maybe for a minute or two, this is great, but for a long-term sitting option as an alternative to a chair, I like to turn it up as a spot, and then it's so much easier. Maintains that nice slight pelvic tilt, so it's not tucking underneath like a scared dog. My back stays nice and tall. So appropriate depth for you. You don't think about it as cheating. Think about it as a way to ease into the less encumbered version of that pose or that position that you're working towards. So it's not cheating. Don't think of it as cheating. First thing I want to talk about, meditation bench. I love this meditation bench. I got it a few weeks ago and I've just been in love with it. There's so many different versatile options for sitting on this. First one that I want to talk about is hero pose. So the neutral without any sort of object is sitting on your heels and your hips. This really feels great on my hips. I feel pretty neutral. I can keep that nice neutral spine, and it doesn't take too much effort for me to be in this position. A lot of people have pain in that anterior shin because this flexion muscle is really tight on a lot of folks. So this might be a little tough for people, especially with your whole upper body pressing down on opening up that ankle joint. So this can be a little bit tough for people. And additionally, for more than 5-10 minutes, my toes kind of go asleep because I'm including blood flow. So this meditation bench is great. It was wonderful. First time I used it, I was able to sit and meditate in a very tall, neutral position for an hour without even really noticing it. And that's something that if I were to do it without this object, I'd be shifting around, fidgeting, and that just would take away from my meditation practice. So, hero pose with a meditation bench. My feet are underneath. You'll see. What I like to do to set it up is I go into hero pose, put it down. Otherwise, you kind of shift into it, and that's it's fine, but it's a little bit more effort. And so this is with my hips closed. So you'll notice my knees are together, and then there's also the option to do it wide. So I have my knees out wide, my hips are open, and I'm still in a relatively neutral position, but this is also a great option, just, open the hips up so they're not totally closed off. Two options for hero pose that are really, really good. Another option is squatting. Squatting with a meditation bench is great. If you look from a distance, I can squat with my feet on the ground. It provides a nice little pelvic tilt, so it's nice and neutral, and my pelvis isn't tucking under me, and so I want around that pelvis tilted just a little bit, so that I can keep this nice neutral, tall spine. This is a great option. Additionally, there's another thing you can do with it. So you'll notice that this meditation bench has that nice little angle to it. That provides that pelvic tilt service, but also it can be used as a ankle assistance. So I can squat on top of it. So that angle down is sort of like an Olympic weightlifting shoe, where it provides a lifted heel, a little bit less stress on the ankle, and allows you a little bit more room in the hip. This is also can be used as like a squatty potty. I messed around with it, and it's pretty cool. Something that I'm gonna I like a lot. And with the heel lifted, you can stay with it with proper spinal mechanics, pelvic orientation. A lot easier, a lot less effort than if you're totally flat-footed. So this is a great option. Feet up, feet down on the squat. And then you can also sit cross-legged on this fellow. Just, hips lifted, pelvis a little bit tilted, spine nice and tall, lifting to the crown of the head, pressing your hips down into the seat, and you just sit a little cross-legged. Doesn't have to be super weird, lots of options here. But with the pelvis really lifted like this, it makes it a lot more comfortable for people who find it very difficult, who find it very uncomfortable to sit with their legs open in a cross-legged position. I see some folks are just like, it's so tight. So meditation bench, this is I highly recommend getting one of these. They range from like $20 to $100. This one's made out of reclaimed oak. I love it to death. And then this is a yoga block. The yoga block provides a lot of the similar options as a meditation bench, but it's a little bit different. You don't have as many options really for hero pose. So for hero pose, you put this bad boy underneath your hips, underneath your pelvis, and then you have a couple options. You can set it with medium, low, and high settings. That provides a little bit of actually nice options versus the meditation bench where you have different levels of depth, that proper height. Because again, if your ankles are super jacked up, if your hips are really tight, hero pose on just the bench might be a little bit spicy for you. So maybe having these 3 different options for height is pretty good for you. But really, it does the same basic principle, which is it lifts the hips up, so your hips are resting on the block rather than your ankles, letting blood flow, letting it relax a little bit, but still providing that nice foundation. But it doesn't have that little angle for your pelvis to tilt with, so it can. It's not as awesome as a meditation bench. Great options though, but and of course you can just splay the legs out a little bit to get that the open hips, but it's not as sort of blocked as with the legs of the bench. Then you can also squat on it. One thing I really like about this is you have these, again, the 3 different options, 3 different heights for your squat. So you can pick one that allows you to perform the squat and stay in the squat with proper mechanics and with relatively little effort or relative comfort. So you're not working too hard to be in this position. And again, I've seen people try to sit on this block, and then they're just in the grossest position ever. So don't just try to go as low as you can. Try to find where are you in the best position for a long period of time. And you'll notice this, I'm just like boom, rock solid, nice ramrod straight, like a perfect Olympic squat, and I can work my feet around or whatever I want to do. I have all these options. And again, with three different heights, I can sit cross-legged however I want, and this is actually a really great option when I'm sitting in the yoga studio for a long period of time. I like to you grab a yoga block, just throw it underneath my hips, and I sit cross-legged all day. Another option, the roller. This is something that most CrossFitters have access to in their CrossFit gyms. The problem with this, not necessarily a problem, a limitation of this, is that you don't have as many versatile options of sitting upon the object as you do with the meditation bench or the yoga block. With this, you can definitely squat on it, but you don't have the options for height, but it allows you to move the hips around, play with it a little bit, get one butt cheek up, and then you also have different options for padding. So this one is a little bit more padded than the Rogue one. And so the big comfy rollers actually provide a lot of benefit with this because you can actually sit on it without, crushing the crests of your hips. But again, you want to make sure you're at that proper depth. So maybe this roller depth is just not high enough, so you have to get in that gross position. So maybe this isn't that great of an option for sitting for you. And you can also sit cross-legged. This is a great option as well. Last one that y'all CrossFitters have is the abmat. And this one again, it's generally too low to provide substantial, significant assistance for the squat. Like if I get rock bottomed out, my butt is barely touching this thing, And I'm probably, I'm like all a little rounded, pelvis is all tilted, my tail's between my legs, it's kind of gross. But if I sit cross-legged, I can sit pretty tall. It provides a little bit of a cushion, so my butt tends to fall asleep sometimes when I sit cross-legged on an abmat, but it gives me an option, which is great, rather than just sitting, as I tend to see, like CrossFitters just grab a box and I sit on it like a chair. It's gross. No, don't do it. So we have all these different options. Highly recommend at least getting one of these, throwing it in your apartment. If you look, I'll do another video about my about how I sort of designed my habitat. And if you don't want to sit in chairs, if you want to sit in gross positions on couches, don't have couches, don't have chairs. Have some other options that will work for you. So hope you enjoyed this video. We went from the most versatile sitting options to the less versatile, more specific applications. Hope you enjoy. Bye.